That's right. Among many other changes I'm going to talk about on vape. So I've seen that cigarette at the start of every episode. I've gone to vape. It's been right at a month again since my last video. Last video was a month in hell. Hell hasn't changed. I'm still bedridden, or chair-ridden if you want to call it that. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that. I've got a couple of things I really want to talk about. I had an encounter with an ex-wife yesterday that really stirred me up. She apparently has found these videos and used that. And I don't know how she found me unless someone specifically told her about me, because we only share one friend that I don't even talk to on like Facebook. But why she would be looking into me now, I don't know. She reaches out like once a year to see how I'm doing. It always ends in a fight because I'm still in love with her. We've been divorced 9 years. This was it's weird. She was my second wife, but my first fiance. I had asked her to marry me whenever she graduated high school. I was a year behind her. I was only a junior. And then she went off to college, and I went to go see her. I went to see her a couple times. But this one particular time, I went to go see her, and walked into the apartment that she was in, and I was supposed to be out working or getting my car worked on. Something had gone wrong with it on the way up, and I walk in, and I didn't knock. I just walked in, and there she was, laying down on a couch, head on this guy's lap, his arm around her. And I walked in quietly, grabbed my bag, and she was, of course, startled and asked, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I just come here to grab my bag. I forgot it. I'm going home." And that was the last time I spoke to her for about 6 years. I don't know, 6 months later or so is when I started beginning to date my son's mother, who I was already friends with at that time, but we had never dated. But fiance 1, wife 2, I'm scared to use her name. I don't know what the legal ramifications of that is, but she's always been my measuring stick, the person that I crippled other relationships for the opportunity to stand in line for her in high school. She was my everything. I don't think she ever actually grasped that. I don't think she does still. And I told her, I'm going to get into this conversation here in a second, but I told her it's probably not a good idea for her to continue watching my videos, at least not the next one. So that's what's coming up in this one. But a little bit of a history tale with that is so many years go by. I end up marrying my son's mother, and I'm living in California. She finds me out of nowhere on, at that time, MySpace. I had already lost my first son. He died of cord entanglement during delivery, or prior to delivery. So he was stillborn. And when she found me, it was like 6 months after that, and she happened to be pregnant. And I was telling her what I went through, the rarity of it, but also the easiness of just to detect things like that, and da-da-da. All just for her to have effectively the same thing happen. She had a stillborn. That pregnancy was a stillborn. She had had 2 miscarriages prior to that, and shortly after that, we ended up moving back to Texas. And me and her and her husband, we went out to dinner. We hung out a couple times. She's not blind, but she's colorblind, and she has no 3D perception, so she can't drive. She's got some cone issues with her vision. So we say it's black and white, but it could be light yellow to dark yellow, light purple to dark purple. We don't know. She don't know. But anyway, so she had some needs, as far as going around grocery shopping, going to therapist, and I would do all this stuff with her because her husband, they worked different types of shifts together. Me and her shared a day off, and of course she couldn't drive, so I would go run her around to doctor's appointments and stuff. This was all fine until her husband, she caught cheating on him, and they had a divorce, and all of a sudden my son's mother's aunt starts getting in her ear about how inappropriate it is that I'm hanging out with my ex-girlfriend who's now single, which wasn't the case, a week earlier. She was married. We're doing errand running because she really has no one to go help her with this stuff. So that all turned into a big fight. Me and my son's mom, she likes to throw that in my face as a reason, or one of the reasons for the divorce. The divorce was already happening, and it was over finances. So that's documented now, son. If you're watching this, I've already told you all this, but there you go. So anyway, she's going through a divorce. 3 months later, I start my divorce. Of course, I'm still helping her on my days off. She helps me find a lawyer through her agency that she was using. And I don't know, 6-7 months later, we had our first date. She had already started kind of seeing something, not seeing something, had gone on a couple of dates. I hadn't done anything, and I wasn't really expecting it with her, but we ended up getting back together. And some of the weird things about us getting back together was the fact that she found me just in time for me to tell her what I went through, for her to understand what she was about to go through. Like, God made us cross paths again for that reason. When she buried her daughter, she asked the place to have no boys around the plot, so her daughter would be buried next to all girls playing with the girls in this children's part of the cemetery. So of course, when you go to a funeral, all the plots around it are kind of blocked off because of the green carpet or dirt or whatever. So they didn't see that a month later, when they went back to visit the grave, her and her husband, the graveside next to it was a little boy, which at first made her mad until she read what the names were. And the name of the little boy was Ian Gabriel. The son I lost was Ian. The son I have is Gabriel. So she instantly connected it as, like, her daughter found my son in heaven, and they were playing together. So that was another weird one. When we first started dating, we were, she had showed me her high school yearbook that I had signed way back when. And this was before I ever proposed, but we had gotten into a fight, I don't know, a breakup or something, and I wrote in it that, in the future, it's kind of there's a Julia Roberts movie kind of like this, but I wrote it back then that, if 10 years from now, we're both 28, if we're both single, then that'll be a sign from God that we're supposed to be together. So there's only a short span of where me and her are both 28 at the same time, and lo and behold, that's when we found each other, or started dating again. So it just seems like everything was pointing me in that direction. She was super Catholic, to the point of having a very much off and on sex life. Hot and heavy when we first got started. It was new, something we never got to whenever we were in high school. But then Catholic guilt kicked in, and premarital sex ideas kicked in, and then it was cut off. And then only when she couldn't stand it anymore would she just, all right, okay, we're going to have sex tonight. So we would do that. So that went on and off for 3 years. Frustrating, but I understood it. Because the plan was still that I was going to marry this woman. And to marry her, I had to go through RCIA. I had to find God. I had to get baptized. I found out I had to get an annulment from my first marriage, where I had not even been baptized yet. And the Catholic Church said that I had to get an annulment because I was married in a church to a Christian believer, whatever. And by proxy, that makes me holy in the marriage, so therefore I need a annulment. So whatever, the annulment happens. But I have to go through this tribunal to explain why I need the annulment and why the first marriage with my ex-wife didn't work. There were a lot of reasons why that did not work. Everything from gambling addiction, or just financial issues that we were having on her part, the mistrust. I had to take her off all my accounts at one point, racking up debt on credit cards taken out in my name without my permission. There were things there that were unreconcilable. So I did it. I went through RCIA. I found faith. It was the first time I truly felt accepted and understood the love and the feeling of a community and God and a Savior and all this stuff wrapped into one. First time was in the Catholic Church under the tutelage of her family, who were very much involved with the church. Very what I thought to be very spiritual, very good spiritual advisors. So anyway, so we're together for a few years. We end up going to England together, part of a birthday trip for her and her twin brother. Whole family went to England, took me with them. Fantastic experience I can never repay them for. Spent 9 days touring all of England. And I ended up proposing to her there, and whenever after we went to go see Phantom of the Opera, which was this thing for us from high school, we met each other during marching band a year that the school was doing Phantom of the Opera. So we get married, and when we get married, the sex switch gets turned on. Except now it's all about reproduction. It's not about not about recreation. It's scheduled every 3 or 4 days to make sure my little swimmers have built their way back up. Trying to track her ovulation to make sure we hit those days properly. So everything was about having a kid, because at this point she had had 2 miscarriages, the stillborn, and then I believe it was 2 more miscarriages after that, which is what caused her husband to leave or start cheating on her, because he wanted children and he saw that she could not give them to her. Sorry, I'm stuttering so much. So that's the back history of that. So, however, she was gone through a lot of depression because of the divorce and everything else, even while we were dating. And like I said, I took her to these appointments. Me and her had these long crying sessions about our children that we had lost. And we were just there for each other. And she had these suicidal moments. I kind of stepped in. I remember one time she was over at my apartment and just held this it was a butter knife, but still butter knife cut, and just long talks about it and stuff, and how she wouldn't be able to see her daughter again if she died, or if she went out this way. And anyway, so a lot of stuff meant a lot to me, and I put up at being her doormat and punching bag for a couple of years while she went through this. Well, now that we're married, she's getting off of her medications because she doesn't want to interfere with the pregnancy. And as she does this, she's not going crazy. It was actually a good thing for her, I guess. But she was becoming more and more independent and more of a solo person, to where the fog of the medication, of her depression, everything else, as it went away, she realized, what the hell have I done? I'm married. I guess it's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because the word divorce kept popping out of her mouth, even though we're trying to have a child. And thankfully, that does not happen. But she, we were married for a year before she pulled the trigger, saying she wanted a little over a year before she said she wanted a divorce, which then meant we still had to be together. We still had to live with each other for another, I think it was like 4 months until the lease went up. Neither one of us wanted to break it, and at that exact moment, I couldn't afford to move out on my own, and I couldn't afford to pay for my place and help her pay for that one. So that was crazy, having to stay in this house with someone who just randomly doesn't want to be with me, there was no drug addiction, there was no abuse, there was no verbal abuse, there was no physical abuse, there was no me staying out till 4 a.m. There was no, like I said, infidelity. There was nothing. There was nothing other than she wasn't happy. Well, I never thought the divorce would happen I kept trying to get her to go to counseling, and we got this workshop book thing we tried to do at home. She wasn't into it. She didn't care. She had already moved on. And I never thought that was truly going to be the case because she was Catholic and because of her family and the sacraments and everything I was led to believe about the Catholic Church. So this is where I'm going to run into my lack of faith. At least, not in God, but in churches, in religion. The Protestant movement, when it separated from the Catholic Church, a lot of it had to do because of the Catholic Church's indulgences, where they paid to get out of their sins, or they paid to absolve different things. That it's still going on today, and it comes in the form of annulments. She wasn't worried about the divorce, about breaking the sacrament, about breaking her vows, because she can go pay $500 and get an annulment. And then that wipes her slate clean. Kind of like going to confessional after partying Saturday night on Sunday morning. So I tried to bring her family into it, these spiritual advisors who had walked me through and sponsored me to my baptism and everything else. And their only response is, well, once she makes up her mind, she's not going to change it. You're better off just kind of moving on. And that was it. There was no priest involved. There was no anything, no reason for it. And yet I get served papers. It took a couple of years. I don't know why she waited so long, but it took a couple of years. I finally got served paperwork that she was getting the annulment done, and I could go in and go plead my case. So I went in there, and whatever reason she gave them, I completely blew out of the water, and they agreed. Her reason was not good enough to get an annulment. However, I gave them a different reason to grant the annulment, which was she got married while on mental health medication. So she could not have made a decision on her own, or she was impaired. So the likelihood of her knowing the true extent of what she was signing up for might have been impaired, so therefore they're going to grant the annulment. Oh, and $500, please. Fuck that. That is a scheme. You don't get into a marriage, say these vows, without understanding them, especially someone who's a cradle Catholic, who had to enforce that if we got married, it had to be in the Catholic Church, because I have to believe as she believes, and got me to the point that I did. So I say all this because of what happened yesterday. Yesterday, out of nowhere, I get a message. Again, she has been seeing she saw these videos, she watched them, and she starts off basically kissing my ass. I wish I had seen this side of you a long time ago. This is amazing. You're so uplifting, and I'm so sorry you're going through what you're doing. You have so much strength. However, you mentioned that you have HIV, so do I need to get tested? So, a bunch of BS remarks just to get to a question that she was really concerned about. Why? Because that would affect her happiness. And I'm sure she was worried and unhappy because she didn't know. So the rest of it didn't matter. She could have just easily said, hey, I saw your video. I heard you say this. What do I need to know? And the fact is, I went from one marriage to another one with no one in between. She knew that. And I said, where was I supposed to pick it up from between her and you? I said, obviously, I got that in the last 9 years since we've been gone, and I know exactly who I got it from. She was a intravenous drug user, had been sober for 5 years, and met through a friend, and we started dating, and she didn't know she had it. I didn't know she had it, obviously. I got it. I take pills for it. That is not any part of my problems every day. I take one pill a day, and I have zero problems with it. So, as you can tell, my voice has come back. On one of the previous videos, I was scared MS was about to steal my voice. So, she says all this, and so I give her a very lengthy response. It took a couple of passages because even Facebook Messenger has a limit as to how many characters you can use. To sum it up, though, I told her that me being strong, it's not strong to do what I'm doing. It isn't. Maybe it is to do the videos. I don't know. But surviving does not mean you're strong. It means you have maybe a strong mind. But doing something because you absolutely have to is not strength. It's survival. And so I told her that, and told her a bunch of other stuff. But the key thing that I told her was, this was not supposed to be my life. This is not what God intended. This is not what we promised each other. We swore an oath to God in His house, for better or worse, not because you're unhappy, not because you just want to. You know, if I hit her or something, I'd understand. But because of that decision, everything that's happened in my life since is caused and living in the wake of that drop in my pond, from her making a decision that was completely out of character for everything I've known about that woman for 20 years. And she, I said, you obviously you did not cause me to get HIV, but I should never have been in that position in the first place. And HIV may have actually caused my MS. I know I'm going to get people saying, "Oh, it does or it doesn't." It depends on who you read and what doctor you talk to. Having a high-level traumatic autoimmune virus can actually trigger different things. That's why they don't use live virus vaccinations on people with autoimmune diseases, or a bit they have it in their family, because it could possibly trigger it. So follow the pond, or follow the rock in the pond. If she didn't do that, we stayed together. Would we have argued a lot? Probably. Maybe it wouldn't have been the best marriage. I know a lot of people, our grandparents, or my grandparents, I don't know about yours, but people who were, say, 70 years old or older now, or passed away, they stuck it out. They believed in the vow. They swore to God, and that was the end of it. Even my first divorce, I didn't ask for the divorce. My son's mom did. So when you drop that rock and you break your vows and you break your promises to all that, that opened up a whole different multiverse of options that were not supposed to be there. I should never have been in a position to date or have sex with someone with HIV, because the only person that I was meant to have sex with was her. If MS was going to hit me anyway, despite whether or not I had HIV, and it was going to happen, then I wasn't supposed to be alone. I wasn't supposed to have my 15-year-old son here taking care of me. It's something else that's changed. He's going to live with me for the next year. At the probably the middle of the summer, next summer, he's going to move back to San Antonio, and I'm moving back to San Antonio. I'm giving up this great house that was built for me because I need constant care. Unless this changes, I mean, like I said, I'm bedridden without someone's physical help to help me up and transfer to a wheelchair. I still have not used the toilet in 2 months. I bought that bedside commode, and I have a urinal tank that sits on the ground with a tube and a thing that I put on myself to pee from my chair. That's it. So I should never have been in that position to have sex with that woman. I should never have met that woman. I would never have met that woman because I didn't believe in going to bars or anything without my wife. Anytime we went out, we went together as karaoke or stuff like that. That was one of the things that I know that did bother her, was that I had that kind of thing where I didn't think it was my place or her place to be at a bar without the other. Call me old-fashioned. But she accepts no remorse, no care, no responsibility. The church allowed what she did. She paid for what needed to be done. Her hands are clean of the situation. She owes me no apologies. That is her stance on this. A year, 16 months ago or so was the last time I had talked to her, and I was in a real bad depression point at that point, and she said something, and I kind of told her some of this, and she fired back that she's not responsible for me, and how dare I bring her parents into it, blah, 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 and just like, I hope you get better, have a nice life. And we were never going to talk again. I think she blocked me because I responded to something after that she never, that the little picture thing never said that she saw. Even now, when she did it through Messenger, those still don't say that she saw it. So she must have unblocked me in order to send me this message. Which again, going out of your way to do all this just because you're going to, because you want to ask a question, I can understand it, I guess. But all the rose petals laid around the question, trying to make me feel good about me pouring my heart out and my anger and my frustration into this camera as often as I can, which in the last 2 months has been once a month. I wasn't even going to do this video today. I've been so amped up about this stupid bitch who cannot leave me alone. I have asked her to stay out of my life. I told her in this letter, like I've already said in my previous videos, at some point this life is going to end, and it's not going to be natural causes. There's going to be a point, I know the point, my family knows the point, of where I'm done. I'm not there yet. I'm even talking about going to an assisted living place. So that's not the line either. I have a line. It hasn't been crossed yet, but it's coming. And it's probably going to come in the next 2 years at the rate that I'm going. But I told her then, I was like, you know what? I don't have your address. I can't send you a notification. I can't send you an obituary. So just know now that I'm dead to you. And I don't need your pity. If you're watching this now, for every ounce of love I still have for you, I hate everything you stand for. For my son who's watching this some point down the line, he knows the story already. He heard me freaking out about it all day today. I'm sorry this is one of those videos, but I also wanted to lay this out as part of my history, because this, as much as I love your mother, Gabe, this was the one, like I said, the measuring stick that I have placed against every relationship I've ever had. Looks, engagement, fun, conversation, all that stuff. She was just always who I wanted to be with. And when it fell apart the first time, me and your mom were great friends, and that slowly developed into a relationship, and we had a 9-year marriage, and we had you. And I don't regret any of it. And I still love your mother. But after I got to the, quote, promised land, and went and got married, and thought my life was set, God had shown his favor to me, and blessed me with everything else, and this church was behind me, and I had all the power of these great people at church who wanted nothing but our best success together, and walked me through this journey just to find out they're all full of shit because they can write a check. I'm done with all of them. They're all hypocrites. Me personally, I don't want to be notified of their death. It does not matter. You cannot take something like God and trivialize it to a dollar amount. To wash away your sins in a baptism of banknotes. Greenbacks flowing over the hands of the archdiocese to cleanse you of your sacrament that you decided was no longer in your best interest of happiness. Am I bitter? You tell me. Am I worried about it after doing this video? No. She died to me last year. This was more like being spooked in the middle of the night by a voice. You know, sometimes you think you hear something at night. That's exactly what this was. It was unexpected. Never thought I'd see it again. Figured I was blocked. Done. And then rip off the Band-Aid. Dig open the scar. Start my mental anguish over my biggest regret. So, that's the reason I don't belong to a church anymore. As far as everything else, vaping, I have started vaping because one of the rules of my son living with me from his mother, which that was a complete surprise that she allowed him to do this, and be homeschooled here with me. So that I would always have someone here to help me, bathrooms, dressing, or whatever, without having to go to a nursing home yet. She said that I have to stop smoking. That she didn't want me smoking in the house around him if he's going to be here full time. So I said, okay. So I've gone to vape. I'm not done smoking yet, but I'm down to less than half a pack. But I'm down to vaping. I also have chewing tobacco that I use if the craving gets really, really strong. It's the little pouches so it doesn't get all over the place, but that's another change. The last change I want to talk about is Oklahoma's pathetic healthcare, or systems of healthcare. I have had personal care assistants. The lady who comes by 3 or 4 times a week, does cleaning, cooking, runs my errands, mops the floor, helps me get dressed, puts away my laundry, all that stuff. I've gone through 4 of them in the last 6 months. The first one now I had for over a year, but then she vanished. Got another one. That one vanished after about 2 months. The one that I just lost, she started last Monday, was here the first day, told me all the good stuff she was going to do for me, helped me shower, got me dressed, was polite, and just asked what more she could do. Came back the next day, same thing. She was supposed to be back on Thursday. No call, no show. Friday, said she would be here. Sorry about yesterday. I had a babysitter issue. Didn't show up. Texted me that night, said, hey, do you want me to come tomorrow? It's Saturday, but I'll come out there and help you. I was like, yes, please. Didn't show up. Supposed to be there Monday. Oh, sorry. I can't be there. No, I'm sorry. No, Monday she did come. That was the last time she came. She came on Monday. However, she went to Walmart for me to pick up an order. By the time she got back, I had taken kind of a fall. I was transferring from my recliner to my bedside toilet, lost my balance, landed on it kind of sideways. I didn't hit the ground, but like my left hip was in the toilet hole itself, and I couldn't get out of it. So we ended up having to call the fire department. They couldn't get me out of it directly. Luckily, I've got a Hoyer lift here that they were able to use to get me up straight and everything else. But it ate up all the time with her being here, so she really didn't do anything. She didn't clean. Other than she complained that Gabe wasn't cleaning, that he wasn't keeping up with dishes and stuff like that. Like, you've been gone for a week and no call show 3 times. It's not his job. You're the one getting paid for this. I didn't say that at that time because I didn't want to lose someone already. So that was Monday. Then, so Tuesday, she's supposed to go pick up a Walmart order. I had the order ready. After it's supposed to be picked up, she texts me, I'm not coming today. Yeah, you've been switched to Thursday. I was like, well, that's a little inconvenient because of things I had going on. I also need medications picked up and blah, blah, blah. So she's supposed to be here today. Today, she does, in fact, go pick up my Walmart order, shows up, drops everything off, comes and tells me, as I'm telling her I really need to shower because I haven't had a shower since the Monday she was here. I've done like baby wipes and stuff like that, peri-wash. But I haven't gone into the shower, get rinsed off, and everything else. And she tells me, "Well, I'm not staying." I'm like, "What do you mean you're not staying? Today is supposed to be a 5-hour day." And she had a car full of kids, and I think her boyfriend and someone else out there. She had to go. So I said, "You know what? Wait there for a second. Let me call the place." And before I even called, she told me that the company that is providing her is basically canceling me because my mother is going to kind of be my full-time care person. She's going to come up, cooking, cleaning, all that stuff. So the reason for that is so that she can get paid for doing it instead of me paying this idiot to do it. And that money can go to a savings account towards getting me to San Antonio next year. That's the plan. I should be able to raise about $10,000 over the next 10 months doing it. And then the rest of it, of course, Gabe will be here. So the company apparently thinks that because I'm only temporary now, they can cut me off and leave me with nobody. And so they can give her to another client who just came in, who is going to be full-time, less hours than I have, but full-time, and is going to be here longer than the next 2 months, which is about when it's going to kick in for my mom. And they're willingly letting me float. Now, that's her story. When I called and talked to them, they said, no, that's not it. Yes, she's picking up someone else, but it's because she said she didn't want to come back out to you because you were too far away. So she's going to go to someone else in Lawton. Well, I have a Lawton address. I'm about 10 miles on the opposite side of Lawton from where she drives in from. And it takes about 15 minutes worth to get there. So I get it. They only get paid $10 an hour. They don't get paid mileage. I get it. But you signed on to take me on so that the company had no one ready to exchange with her. So as of right now, I have nobody that's going to come do all this stuff. I have to rely on Gabe for everything. My 15-year-old son to do all this stuff. As much as he does it anyway, he's not a great housekeeper. He's not. Love you, boy. But so the idiot, after she leaves, she sends me a text saying, "I'm not coming." Before she left, we were talking about it. She was going to come back tomorrow to at least give me a shower. And then she left, and I already knew she wasn't going to come back. She sends me a text, "I'm not coming back tomorrow. I've already given you up as a client. Hope everything works out for you." I told her, I said, "Well, I wasn't expecting you to come back. I already knew you weren't, just based on how you were talking before you left. So hopefully good luck to whoever gets you next, that they don't have the same problems I did." There were no problems with me. My stuff was all correct and everything else. It was the company that did this or this. I'm like, you know what? You or the company or whatever cannot let someone who is under contract for you to provide care to sit in filth for 2 weeks now by the time next week rolls around. If I get someone on Monday who has limited mobility. The one thing that has not come back that scares the holy hell out of me is, I've told you about my left arm being contracted 100%. 2 months ago, before all this crap started, my right arm was at about 25-30%. It's now at about 65. I can't stretch it out. My fingers, I can't grip food. Like corn dog today I was trying to eat. I can't, it's really hard to light a cigarette, so I guess it's good that I'm stopping that. Jesus, I didn't realize this video had gone on so long. But yeah, there's that issue and one more issue, and then I'll get off here. You've heard me talk, I believe, about trying to get an MRI done that I'm having problems with so I can get on a medication that's supposed to slow all this progression of my disease down. Well, I got the MRI scheduled. However, I have an incontinence problem. I'm having spastic bladders, which comes with MS. That is causing me to have to pee about every hour, hour and a half. Even throughout the night, I wake up every hour and a half, 2 hours to have to pee. It's, sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's not. So anyway, I can't go do this MRI because it's about 30 minutes away. So hour round trip. The MRI itself is going to take close to 4 hours because of how many they're going to do, contrast and no contrast. So I need a catheter. Well, my doctor will not give me one because she's scared of me getting a UTI. Guess what? I'm bedridden. If I get a UTI, that means I can't move all that well. Great, I don't move now as it is. There's no worry. The only time I transfer right now is for a shower or to get on the shitter. And that's it. That's all I do. Today I felt pretty good, so I got in my chair to come do this video. It's weird what anger will do to you. It's a great motivator. So thank you, wife number 2, for getting me out of that chair to do this video. I'm sure you're happy about it if you're watching it. But anyway, so they won't give me the catheter. They won't allow me to get treatment that I need so that I can go get the MRI so I can get the medicine that will hopefully stop all this. Or get the catheter so I can go see a urologist to figure out what's going on. Point blank, I can't leave the house. Depends or adult diapers, that's not an option. I'm too big of a guy. I don't sleep in a bed. I sleep in a lift recliner with high arms on it. So no one's going to be able to move me around to try to put one of these things on. I can't stand up very long if someone tried to do it while I was standing up. If I'm in public, there's no way I can stand in public without having my little stripper bar that I hold on to for someone to try to change me in public. So the only way I'm leaving my house is with a catheter. It's not a narcotic. The only danger is a UTI. I know how to fight those because I get them now anyway. It's, I got antibiotics and azo cranberry pills. That's what you do. It knocks it out in 2 or 3 days. So this whole my body, my choice bullshit you always hear about. Yeah, my body, my choice. Not a narcotic, nothing dangerous, nothing life-threatening. I need this to get things that is actually threatening my life. They won't do it. So I'm having to join hospice. Hospice means I cannot have my MRI, I cannot have a urologist, I cannot have a neurologist, because you're basically saying that you're giving up on life, even though you don't have to be dying right away. However, you can go on and off hospice. You're not supposed to leapfrog it, but for what I need to get done, I can go on to hospice. They can put in a catheter. I'll let it stay in for a month. Take Lasix, water pills, get some of this draining extra fluid built up in my legs from my lack of motion, get as strong as I can, I guess, and then schedule a urology appointment, MRI appointment, a urology appointment, my PCP appointment, get all that done, set up in ahead of time, and then and then have them put one final catheter in about a week before I cancel. That way it's already in, it's good for a month, and then I can get to the urologist and they can take it out whenever that time comes, or they can put in the order for my home nurse to come and take it out. I would much prefer just to be on one because of how difficult it is for me to go to the bathroom. Today, I found that there is something called a men's external catheter, which effectively is a condom with a super adhesive strip either at the base of it or somewhere inside of the condom itself. Anyway, you put it on yourself like a condom, squeeze it, get the adhesion to stick to you, and then you just basically wear a condom all day, and if you need to pee, you pee, and the tube goes down your leg, and the pack hangs around your leg. It cannot and does not cause UTIs. So where is my doctor at to prescribe that to me, so I don't have to go through all these other hoops and bullshit? Like, it just does not make sense. When my sister was here several months back and she broke her back in a car accident to come see me, she got the exact same surgery I did, so I knew exactly what she was about to go through. And the one thing they did for me at the very beginning, when I woke up out of surgery, my back was frozen because they had this ice water pad that I was laying on where this ice water was flowing through it, going through this tank being circulated. They didn't even have her on ice packs. She was there for 3 days, for 3 or 4 days, before I started yelling at the doctors. I'm like, why haven't you put her on this? Oh, you know what? That'd be a great idea. That's something we should look into. No shit. It's actually called a post-operative cold bed. That's what it's there for. So, apparently, Oklahoma does not know about medical options for their patients and clients and citizens. This place is stupid. I actually liked living here. I liked the scenery. For the most part, I kind of liked the people. It's not home, of course, but I had no problems with the people out here. I had no problems with how things were done. But Jesus, this place just wants to put you out to pasture and say, you want hospice? You want to die? Because you can't choose your own stuff here. Like, we're only going to but we're only going to do things that we want to do, despite whether or not you think they're beneficial. So, all of that, and I'm sorry this video has gone on way longer than I intended. But yeah, I'm still in hell. Wife number 2 added to my agony of it. It is such a hair trigger response to talk about her, to think about her, and I've gotten not over her, but I've gotten past her. And every year she shows up somehow, interfering with, I don't want to say my recovery. I guess she's interfering with what's left of my life. I'm dead to you if you're watching this. You killed me. You killed me 9 years ago. I'm just waiting on God to show me the way. Accept that and don't look for me again. To everyone else, sorry about the dramatic video. If you've watched them all, you know this is the first video I've ever done like this. I am, as she said, very positive and trying to push a positive message on here and let you know what to expect and what I'm going through, and let people live vicariously, my family members, my friends, the followers I have on here. Thank you so much for the comments and some of the emails I've gotten. But this had to be done. This is the other side of me. This is what I deal with when I'm not trying to help you. This is me trying to help myself. So for that, I thank you. You guys have a great night.